Hello, everyone. My name is Christina. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Family Programs Coordinator from the Vancouver Art Gallery. Welcome to Art at Home Live. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. I think we just let's wait. I know that we saw some friends logging in. My name is Lin Chen. Hi, everyone. We'll just wait for a few seconds. And it's nice. The weather is not too bad today, right?
I see some cool things going on in the screen at the bottom. I'm excited to see what it's going to be all about.
Yep. Yes, I can't wait. I got all my material ready on the side to make art.
All right. Well, hello again, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Christina, and I'm the Family Program Coordinator from the Vancouver Art Gallery. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Vancouver Art Gallery, where I work, is on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. And today, where I'm presenting from, is on the unceded territory of the Comox Nation. And the word unceded, it means that the rights to the lands and waters were never given in agreement. They were taken without permission. So to honor the ancestors of and the caretakers of the land that I live on, I would like to uplift voices of Indigenous communities and learn from voices of Indigenous communities to better care for the land that I am on. And you know what? If you want to learn a little bit more about the land you live on, I'm going to pop a little link into the chat. It's called Whose Land, and it's a really cool app and website that teaches you a little bit more about the history of the lands that you are on to start important conversations. So again, thank you all so much for spending your time with us today. We are going to think about ways that art and music collide. We're going to be inspired by the work of Yoko Ono. So we're going to do a lot of experimenting to help us think about arrangements, or you could use the word compositions, different ways that sounds or visual elements like lines, shapes, or objects are arranged in different ways to create new artworks and express new ideas. So we're going to introduce you to a very cool artist. But before we do that, the very cool artist we're going to introduce you to is Alanna Ho. You can see Alanna here in the video screen. And I'd also like to introduce you to Lynn spoke briefly, my friend and colleague Lin Shen. How you doing, Lynn?
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Lin Chen. I am the Institute of Asian Art Program Assistant at the Vancouver Art Gallery. I will say my hello and intro in Mandarin. So there's some friends who speak Mandarin, they can turn in to our awesome interpretation functions on Zoom after. So 大家好，我是 Lin Chen，温哥华美术馆亚洲艺术助理。那很高兴欢迎你来到 Art at Home Live。那温哥华美术馆亚洲艺术馆也很荣幸可以跟 Christina Jones 一起呈现 IAA Art at Home， 那将更多优秀的亚裔艺术家介绍给大家。那今天呢，我们与各地在家中的你一起代表温哥华美术馆，承认我们在祖传及未割让属于 Musqueam、Squamish 和 Tsleil-Waututh 第一民族的传统领土上。那割让这个词呢，意味着土地跟水域的权利重位在协议中，也就是说，这一片土地上面的原住民那边呢，他们的土地是被强行占领的哦。那为了纪念这片土地的祖先跟照顾者，我愿意向原住民社区学习，分享我所学的知识，并仔细思考如何保护和照顾这片土地以及周围的这个区域哦。那你想要知道你所居住的这个领域呢，是属于哪个原住民的传统领土吗？Christina 呢，把一个很棒的连接叫做谁的土地留在我们的留言区里面哦。那你可以点下去观看。那今天呢，我们也非常荣幸的邀请到艺术家 Alanna Ho。 跟我们一同来思考一下艺术及音乐碰撞的这种创作方式哦。那它的灵感来自小野洋子的作品。那我们今天会有很多小的实验哦，所以一起跟我们一起很期待吧。
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much. So, we want to get to the good stuff. If you are thinking like I am, you are very curious about what Alanna has prepared for us today. But before we start talking to Alanna, I just want to go through a few things that will help us all feel safe and welcome in this session together today. So, first of all, we are so lucky to have Johnny joining us today so that we can welcome those of you who speak Mandarin and those of you who speak English as well to take part in this session. So, if you can see a small button, it's kind of like at the bottom right of your Zoom screen, and it says interpretation. So, you can click on that button, it's circled in this picture, and you can choose the language that you prefer.
那我们今天很幸运有一个中文的翻译 Johnny 跟我们一起加入哦。那通过 Zoom 的这个直译功能呢，让我们有更多的朋友可以一起参与哦。欢迎说中文跟英文的朋友，大小朋友都一起参加。那你在荧幕的右下角上面写 interpretation 这个画黄色圈圈的这个区块哦。点进去之后，你可以选择喜欢的语言。那整个活动中呢，我们 Johnny 也会在旁边做英翻中的直译。谢谢 Johnny。
All right. Well, throughout this session, we want to hear your questions and your ideas and maybe even some experimental sounds. So, a great way to add your questions and ideas is you can click on the chat button. You can see it circled here in this picture. And you can type in, like I said, your questions or ideas, or you can even use it right now and click on it and say hi to everyone joining us. Today, like I said, we want to think about how we can make the space safe and welcoming for everybody who is joining us. So by doing this today, we have a few people saying hi already. Hello, thanks for joining. Hi, Emma. Hi, Stephanie. To make sure that this is safe for everybody today, we want to think about a few things that we all agree to. By joining this session, we all agree to take pride in speaking up and sharing our thoughts and ideas. We agree to be curious, open, and respectful to celebrate each other's ideas. We agree to listen and learn from each other with care and kindness. And we agree to use our comments to uplift each other. Hello, everyone. Still coming in with hellos in the chat. Okay, one more slide to go over here. If captioning might be helpful to your experience with us today, we can invite you to click on the live transcript link. You can see it, a big arrow pointing to it in this image here. And it's important to note that this is auto-generated captioning. So that means that every word might not be perfectly accurate. However, we hope that even though it's not 100% accurate, this is still a service that will be meaningful for folks who wish to participate in a way that's not centered just on sound and audio. So feel free to click on that, or if auto-generated captions pop up, you can just turn them off. Okay. Thank you,
After a long wait, drumming.
Aha! Thank you for listening with your care and with your kindness to respect us here. Now we can get to the fun stuff. Lynn, would you like to introduce Alanna to us?
Yes, Alanna Ho. Thanks for waiting, everyone. So Alanna is a socially engaged artist working and learning on the unceded and traditional territory of the Kakai, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam Coast Salish people. Alanna's work presents pedagogy and plays and interconnected experiences, combining the use of new media and the Reggio Emilia approach. Her workshops naturally foster fun sound exploration, which we're going to try today. And her multi-models approach in the STEM education has been facilitated through gallery and schools. Alanna is the co-director of Intermediate, a media art educational festival designed to empower underrepresented groups by providing low barrier access to workshops and mentorships. She is currently a sound artist in residence through the AIR program in conjunction with the Vancouver School Board, exploring Pauline Olivier's concept of deep listening in 2016, Alanna founded the Rainbow Forecast Project, a research initiative exploring the critical roles of pedagogy in the arts and empowering children and young women beyond the classroom. She has spoken at symposiums and panels discussing the lack of female and BIPOC representation in new media arts and electronic music. Her talks are aimed in inspiring organizations to invest in art and technology programs for young age groups. And we welcome Alanna. Yay!
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lynn and Christina, for the big introduction. So hello, everyone. There are so many exciting things I want to show you today. And some of it, I have kind of collected it into some pictures and slides so that you can kind of better visualize what I'm talking about in terms of cool ideas. And then I'm going to be giving you all some challenges where you're going to be creating tiny short compositions. So let's get to it. I'm just going to share my screen here and let's see here. Alrighty. So here we go. All right. Lynn, you can see this okay?
Perfect. Great.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so who is this artist, first of all? This is Yoko Ono, and for some of you, you've already gone to the Vancouver Art Gallery's exhibition where there are a lot of works by this artist, Yoko Ono, and she is someone who performs in very interesting ways. And so she is a visual artist, but she also is influenced by music to create her art. This is Yoko Ono, very stylish, with this giant white chess set in the background. Now, when we look at a chess set, usually there's black and white, right? Why do you think she has created a chess set with just white? Kind of an interesting idea. She challenges a lot of ideas about world peace and justice. All right. So I wanted to show you this example of the type of artwork that Yoko Ono would create. So one of them is called Voice Piece for Soprano. And soprano is a very high-pitched singer. So this is the entire artwork. So it goes like this: scream, against the wind, against the wall, against the sky. And that's the piece. That's the whole artwork. So I find this really interesting because she's kind of listed these things almost like an instruction score, and it's followed like it is a musical score. So for those of you who have taken music lessons, or maybe you have done some music at school, you'll notice that we usually look at music where it kind of looks like traditional notation, like this. But sometimes artists will use text to convey their sound pieces. Here's another one that I really like. This one's called Sound Piece number 2, and it's all about breathing. Listen to your breathing, listen to your child breathing, listen to your friend breathing, and keep listening. So before we move on, I want you to just take 2 fingers and put it just by your neck, or you can put it by your wrist, and I want to see if you can feel your pulse. You have to really listen and be still. And you can start to feel or hear how fast you're breathing and how fast your pulse is. Now, if there's someone else in the room, you can ask them if you could also take their pulse or hear them breathing. So you can put your hand on their back or on their wrist and see if you can hear their pulse and breathing too.
Nice, I hear some sort of rhythm. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Yeah, the sound.
Now, when you're listening to two different rhythms, what you're experiencing is a polyrhythm. There's two different tempo, two different rhythms going at the same time. So let's look at, oh, okay. So there's a few slides that I just want to get through because these artists are very important and they influence the activities that we're going to do today. So I'm going to quickly go over this artist, Pauline Oliveros. She is a brilliant composer and electronic musician. And this is her with the bukla, which is a really cool instrument that creates lots of really interesting sounds like beeps and boops and bzzz, all these kind of new electronic sounds that were very groundbreaking back then. And she also played the accordion. Now she created, she coined this concept called deep listening, which is all about noticing and listening with your entire body. So usually when we're listening to music, we use our ears, right? But then in her pieces, she invites you as the audience to really listen with everything, like listening with your feet. So if you can imagine, if there are ears on your feet or ears on your hands, your fingertips, she's inviting you to use your entire body to sense everything around you. So this is an example of one of the compositions or scores or instructions that she has created. And again, this is also similar to Yoko Ono's artwork. This whole thing is an artwork by itself, this text. Make a list of everyone you've ever known. Make up your own picture postcard. Think of a single message which you will send to everyone you have ever known. And then send your postcard to everyone on the list. This one would be really fun. What would you write in your message? Okay, so here is the very first activity that we are going to do together. And we are going to practice writing a score. And when you think about a score, things are kind of done in a certain order, like an algorithm. And so what we're going to do is think about a recipe. So I'm sure a lot of us really like desserts. Lynn and Christina, what are your favorite desserts?
I love tiramisu. if I can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they would be a wonderful things to do.
Oh, same. Christina, what's your favorite dessert?
So hard to choose. I have a really good donut store close to where I live.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It is.
Okay, so I also like donuts. I think I'm going to choose cookies. So the first thing I want you to do, everyone, is I want you to think of a dessert that you really like. And hopefully it's something that you have a little bit of familiarity with making. So for example, cookies, if you've seen a grown-up make cookies in the kitchen. It can also be a recipe that you can even invent. Maybe it's a dessert that is a fantasy dessert and something that doesn't exist, like cookies made from clouds. I don't know. But I want you to create a recipe and we're going to list out all the different steps. Oh, I see French toast. Oh, that's really good. That's a good idea. Okay, so on your piece of paper, I know that you have some materials here. So the first few activities is just going to be with pencil and paper. And we're just jotting down some ideas, okay? So on the very top, just write down the ingredients that you need for your dessert, okay? So maybe that's eggs or flour. So for mine, chocolate chip, I have flour. I have eggs, chocolate chip, Let's see. Maybe oatmeal. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next step, but while I am talking, just take your time and continue writing out your ingredients, okay? And after, you're going to create that recipe. So think about step by step how you would make this delicious dessert. And for some of us, we don't express as well using text. So you could also draw it too. You can draw yourself mixing the eggs, or draw yourself sifting the flour or decorating the cake. But I want you to go through step by step from beginning, from these raw ingredients to, at the very end, this yummy dessert that you could eat, okay? And I would love to hear what kind of desserts that you have chosen. Pudding. Oh, that is good. Oh, I see a lot of you also play instruments. Very nice. Okay. Sugar. While you're writing out this set of instructions, you can also maybe think about who you would want to share this recipe with, who you would want to eat this with. Because in some of the scores that we were just looking at, the artworks kind of invite a participation. They invite other people to share that experience. So this could be quite a lovely artwork to create with your family or friends. Oh, milk. Lynn, how's your recipe going?
I'm trying to draw it out. So my recipe is tiramisu. So I have listed out ingredients. I'm not sure if everyone can see it, but I have whisk. I have the movement of whisking, and then dip the arrow, soaking the lady fingers in the coffee. And then now I'm just continue drawing.
You
and
picked
making
a really
it graphical. Yes. It's fun. I'm just trying to capture the movement that I'm thinking when I make the tiramisu, what kind of movement I will use.
I'm starting to realize I don't actually know how to make really good cookies. So I'm gonna go the kind of imaginary route and add magical ingredients. Sparkles. I'm gonna add a little dash of joy. Just a feeling. After you mix all the ingredients together, do you have to put it in the fridge, or do you have to wait a while for the batter to settle or rise? Do you have to bake it? And at what temperature?
I'm noticing things too, like you did, Alanna, that I don't actually know how to make a lot of things.
Yeah.
And maybe that is also part of the idea. I even had to write bake, don't burn as a note to myself because I know how I usually bake things.
Yeah. I like also that while I'm writing this down, there's kind of a chance element to it because if I gave this score, if I gave this artwork to anyone, they would probably make different cookies. Like the cookies may taste different than the ones that I make. It's kind of interesting to think about how everyone would perform this score or recipe in a different way.
Yeah, add a bit of improv. Like I usually improvise when I cook. I'm very bad at baking because I can't follow instructions. So I just read what's the basic and then I'll just play by ear like that.
Sure. Oh, I see someone really likes Joy and red creamsicle and fried breadstick. I've never had that, but that actually sounds really good. Okay, so you can continue if you're not done. It's very chill. What I want you to do though is at the very end of your recipe, I want you to sign your name and I want you to write down the date. So the date today is November 23rd because we're going to treat this as an artwork. Okay, so November 23rd, 2021, and sign your name. That's the first composition. And I think you all did really well. All right, so I'm going to continue with my presentation. Let's see here. So many interesting things to show you all. Okay, Lynn, can you see my screen?
Yep, works
Awesome.
very well.
Lynn, can you see the donuts?
Yep, I can see the donuts.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just present that again. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, so we're going to look into kind of how art and sound and music can kind of mush together and how they can symbolize things. So right now, if you look at this, I want you to think about, you can say this out loud or you can write it down or you can just think about it. Think about what this thing is. Okay. So as an example, for me, this kind of looks like a drop of mustard, but it could also be a sun. It could also be a yellow ball.
Someone said mooncake.
Ooh.
I miss mooncake.
Ooh, yes. Yes, please type in the chat what you think this is. What is this? Think about if you were looking at this image from the side or from the top, like from different angles. What could this be?
I think it's like the yolk of a fried egg, maybe. If you were to zoom into a fried egg and just see the circle part from the top. Oh, Maya thought the same thing as me.
Yeah, egg yolk. Light bulb. Red velvet cake. Okay, I see I think we're all a bit hungry from just making that recipe.
Because in my mind, I was like, you can swim in a pool of orange juice. There will be a lot of orange juice to fill.
A rocket, a glass. These are really great ideas, everyone. Very good. Now, oh, a lemon. So we can see that color is pretty important when we are figuring out what something could be. An orange. Very good. Okay, keep these ideas going. I'm going to move on to this one. So look at this. Again, look at the color, the shape, how long it is, where it sits in this frame here in the middle. What is this? Can you also type in the comments what you think this is? Or maybe it's a feeling that you feel when you see this. A green lightsaber. Grass, shapes. Very good. Exclamation marks. Lemon cake. I think about actually a kind of sound. I think it sounds kind of like bzzz, like a very long kind of sound because it's a very long line. An airport landing pad, a tractor, a ceiling. That's a really good idea. I like that. You're so imaginative. Very good. The grass sleeping, the floor. Yes. So I can see that a lot of you are looking at it from different angles. This could be a 3D or 2D kind of image. Oh, let me see here. There we go. A green shelf, a field. Very good. Okay, now I want you to type in the comments what you think this is right here. What is this? Quick, quick. Very good. Okay, so I see a lot of you are mentioning birds or like type of birds. It's very interesting how when we're kids, a lot of us draw very similar shapes. So when we were really little, especially when we're like 3 or 4, when we first picked up a pencil, if someone said draw a bird, a lot of us would draw something like this. And it's interesting because this is kind of a symbol for a bird almost. Here's another one. Okay, now look at this one though. What is this then?
Seagull.
Seagull, yeah. Okay, so if you look at this one and then you look back at this one, are they the same? Are they both seagulls? What do you think? In the chat, which one do you think is more like a seagull? This one, A or B? Okay. Okay. They could both be seagulls. Okay, then what about this? What is this then? Okay, so this is also a seagull. So you can see just from kind of 3 different ways to look at it. We have the silhouette, we have very simple line drawing, and we have the actual photograph of a seagull, but they're all kind of pointing to the same meaning. Now we'll kind of revisit this concept when we're talking about how to represent ideas onto the page. All right, I'm gonna move on here. Okay, oh, another thing. Sorry, let me go back here. Okay, so when you're looking at this, right, it also doesn't have to be a bird. Now I want you to type in the chat what else this could be if it was not a bird. An example could be, for example, a hill. What else could that be? Bumps in the road, clouds. Clouds, yeah. A mountain, very good. Waves, a carpet, broccoli, yeah. Very good. Wind, footprints. Very good. Mustache. It could also be the letter M. The McDonald's sign that we have seen a lot of, M&M candies. River. Okay. So for this one, I want you to just look at this color and I want you to stare at this color and then close your eyes and then think about what kind of feeling this color makes you feel. So does it make you feel excited or like a warm, fuzzy feeling or really happy? I want you to look at it and then close your eyes and think about it for a second. And you can feel free to write in the chat what you think. Okay. Thank you for all your quick responses. I'm going to read some of them if that's okay. We have excited, mad, warm and calm, cozy and happy, hungry, happy, thrilled, campfire, angry, soft. Good. It's interesting how a color can evoke so much. All right. Let me just see the time. Okay, you know what? I'm going to skip over a couple of these things because I'm realizing there is not as much time. So I want you to look at this right here. You have A and B, and I'm going to play a sound file. And I want you to tell me which one you think it sounds like, A or B, okay? Okay, let me just play this here. Okay, did you hear that? So, did you think that was A or B? Let's see, A. Ah, interesting. Okay, I see a lot of A's. Now, why would most of you say A? Just by looking at it, because it's not like the traditional kind of music that we see, and there's no text or anything, but it's possible to look at these shapes and be able to find a sound that associates with it. Yes, it's very separated, very good. So when you heard the sound, it's like very little tiny sparse dots of sound, right? Yeah, and it's kind of up and down. So I agree. I think it's A. And B is kind of like a long, smooth sound. Very good. Okay, so now that we have kind of looked at some shapes, I want you to start, I want to show you some graphic scores. So graphic scores are, it's a musical score that has kind of drawings or symbols and notation that is not very traditional. So this one here is one of my favorite scores. It's called Kathy Barbarian and it's called Strip City. And if you look at it, it looks a little bit like a comic strip. So I'm going to play a little bit of it and it's really funny.
Boom, 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 boom. Boing.
Okay, so what did you think about that? Was that music? I heard a sneeze in there and I heard her say boing. So it's kind of like, there's a lot of sound effects.
Yeah, it's quite animated too. It feels like you're in a funny cartoon of this, monster sort of walking in a very clumsy way and hit the wall. So it's quite animated, the sound.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that, Lynn. A clumsy monster walking into a wall. Yeah, it's kind of cartoony and bouncy. Yes, very good. Okay, next score I want to show you. So this one is by a composer called Paul Chan. And if you look at this score, you can see there are a lot of shapes, almost kind of blocks of black covering most of the page. And this is also music too. This one as well. This one is by Laurie Spiegel, and it is a piece for electronic tape. So again, you can kind of see they look a bit like drawings, don't they? Okay. These are a few scores that I've done when I was younger, and they're also these kind of graphic scores that I made with shapes. And these lines that go vertically down, they're actually marking the time. So for example, the lines over here on the left, that marks minute 3 and 30 seconds. And then you would play this piece with a stopwatch so you can see like where you are. Ooh, okay. All right, I want to quickly show you this as well as inspiration. This is called data sonification, and there's a way of seeing stars through the telescope and getting images from X-rays, but there's also a way of listening to information, listening to stars too. So I'm going to play this. Take a listen. So what do you think is happening? You see this kind of horizontal line moving up the page, and you can hear all these sounds. These are not dots, these are actually black holes and galaxies. That's really cool, huh? So you can see that even little dots, based on if they are more blue or more red, they are higher in pitch or lower in pitch. Each wavelength has a sound. Yeah, I like the music too. I really do. Here's one more example of this kind of visualizing some kind of natural phenomenon through sound. This one, clockwise motion. So this is kind of reading light as a way to create music. Okay, so let's move on to an activity that we can do together. So I want you to grab your paper, and because right now we want to use a little bit more space for this activity, feel free to get your pieces of paper and kind of line them up so that it makes a giant piece of paper. Like you can keep lining it up. I just got this really big piece right here, so I'm going to just use this. But what I'm going to do is play a piece of music. It's called Spiegel in Spiegel, which means mirror in the mirror, by Arvo Part. And I want you to listen to this piece and think about how it makes you feel. And you're going to make a score about it. I'm not going to give too much instruction because you can draw, you can put objects all around the page to kind of describe how you feel and describe what you hear. And I'm going to be doing this activity with you so you can see from top down what this could look like. So let me just play the music here. Let's see, Christina, how's the sound? So a little bit higher, okay. Is that okay?
That sounds better.
So when I listen to this, I hear there are two instruments. There is actually, can you hear what instruments is in this piece? What instruments do you hear? Violin, it's a string instrument. And piano, yes, very good. So you can express these two instruments in different ways. For example, with because the string instrument is such a long, flat kind of sound, I want to represent it with a ribbon. So what I'm going to do is create a kind of drawing with my ribbon. And I chose blue because it makes me feel calm, and this music makes me feel calm. You can use any kind of household objects you have. For the piano, I hear individual notes kind of floating above the strings. So I'm going to use small little pieces to kind of represent that. So these right here, I have little acorn caps. Shells. You can also use a marker or something to draw with. You can also write down things that you hear or feel while you are doing this. Kind of creating, you're basically creating something that is kind of like a 3D drawing, a 3D score. So before we used text, but now we're using some tangible materials. I also kind of want to draw some very smooth kind of lines, just based on what I'm hearing. And maybe when the music is getting louder, maybe any shapes that you're creating is also getting louder, getting bigger or thicker or higher. You can express that through your materials. So here's a very low kind of string section. On your score, I also want you to write down some adjectives, so words that describe this music. So for me, one of those words that come to mind is floating. Soft, that's a good one. Calm, depth, but there's a lot of kind of different ideas here. Okay, I'm going to just pause this for a bit, but I'm going to link this video, this piece of music here in the chat, because I could listen to this all day, but you can continue listening to this after this workshop. So I just put it in the chat there. It's a lovely piece. Okay. Lynn, how is your score going?
I think we're getting there. So what I've done,
Oh,
I
cool.
draw a really long, like a band of really long line on the top, because at the back I have this like really deep sound that is constant for me, and then it almost feel like the flow of a river kind of thing, because it's very calming. And I also put I don't know if everyone can see, but this is an image of a piece of sky.
Oh, it's a piece of the sky.
Yeah, it's hard to see because it's getting dark, but yeah, there's a little bit of piece of little sky that I tape on it, and then some of the shorter note, it remind me of raindrop, but I just put some leaf because of the shape remind me of that. And then yeah, so this is my.
That's awesome, Lynn. Yeah, I'm also seeing here in the chat that there are a lot of comments about other natural things too, like clouds and waves and lakes. It's very interesting how we all kind of think that. Christina, how's your score?
Interesting you just brought up natural elements because that's what I was thinking of a little bit. We can take a peek. I'll be brave and share here. I actually started with a line, and it's very hard to see here, but I wanted my line to show like the lifts and the rises that I heard in the violin. And then I kind of echoed those lines with pipe cleaners to give that composition a bit more of a texture too. And I also hear a bit of texture in the sound, so it made me think of the pipe cleaners. I used some natural elements. I had some dried leaves, and I kind of put them up to the top because I also thought of kind of growth and things rising up. So it's almost like the leaves are kind of rising up. And you can't see it too well, but at the bottom I have some rocks because for some reason I also thought that there was something weighted at the bottom in those lower notes. So I have kind of rocks coming down in the composition here. I was thinking about color too. So I have a lot of beads, but the only beads that I really felt like using were really light colored pastel ones. For some reason, this work made me think of that lightness with the color choices also. But it's so fun to have that mix of objects and textures in a composition.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing. That's so wonderful. I wanted to show something real quick is, if you look right here, this music, we usually read music, this traditional Western notation is we read it like a book from left to right, like this. There's an order to it, but when I was just making that score, I had this kind of like circular feeling where maybe because I felt so calm, I felt like it didn't have to have a particular direction. Like it could just kind of exist all here and I can mix things up and it didn't have to go from left to right. So that was kind of nice. Okay, I'm going to share with you just a couple more things. Here. All right, so you're probably wondering, why are we doing these kind of graphic scores with objects? Well, John Cage, this is a composer who experimented with silence and sound. And he was a big influence on the artist Yoko Ono. I want to show you a piece by John Cage, which is ridiculously brilliant. This is called As Slow as Possible. And it is a piece that's supposed to be played nonstop for 639 years. That means we will probably be gone and this piece will still be going. It's gonna go until the year 2640. What do you think about that? Can you tell me in the chat? Can you imagine listening to a concert that is 639 years long? It is kind of cool. I wonder what kind of desserts they will have there. Yep. So this is being played at on an organ in Germany. It is very difficult to imagine. And yes, yeah, we won't be able to really finish it. But this is a very interesting kind of instruction, right? So the composer, John Cage, he has instructed that this artwork, it has to exist for that long, and it outlives him as the artist because he won't be here in 639 years. So it's just a very fascinating idea to think about an artwork that outlives you. So moving on, I want you to think about and create a musical or instructional score that is impossible to play. So whether it's, for this one, I want you to kind of have your imaginations go a little bit wild and think about, for example, I would say start with an idea of what would you like to experience that is very difficult to do. For example, go to space. Maybe this is a piece of music that needs to be performed on Jupiter for aliens or something, or time travel. Yes, or flying. Oh, there actually is a composition by Stockhausen that is instructed for cellists to play in flying helicopters. That one's really fun. Be invisible. These are such amazing ideas. Okay, so I want you to, all these ideas that you have here, I want you to write that down. And again, at the top, you can kind of write down all these, here, let me just stop sharing this so you can see. At the top, you can write down some ideas. Okay, a score that's being played underwater. I would love to be an audience for that. And for example, flying or underwater, a set of instructions to do in that kind of impossible situation. And I want you to create a score. We're going to sign it and date it as well. So I'm just going to pull this down a bit so you can see. Now, the interesting thing is that even though we're writing something that might be impossible to be performed, maybe one day it will be possible. It also doesn't have to be a musical score. It can be a dance score, or it can be something to do with yeah, movement or yeah. I want you to think about this instruction. Ooh, there we go. I want you to think about this instruction too, in terms of like what the duration is. So maybe is this a piece that is a day long or several days or several years? Or maybe it's only for 5 minutes or a second. Okay. Ooh, very cool. So I'm just aware of the time right now. It's about 5. And I just want to share you my score with you, my impossible score. And I would love if you could also share whatever you have too, but also you don't have to finish this. You can continue this later. So my score is, I'm gonna call it something first. I'm gonna call this piece Connect. And this is the score. Everyone in the world holds hands. And then sing any song together. For how long? For as long as possible. Inspired by John Cage. Lynn and Christina, what ideas do you have?
For me, I'm thinking because maybe it's too much Zoom meeting. I'm thinking teleportations. So my score would be count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Imagine the place you want to go. The color, the sound, the smell. And then open this invisible door. I hope one day that happens.
Cool idea, Lynn. I was thinking about, I listed a few different ideas that have nothing to do with each other. I don't know if you can see very well on my table here. First, I was thinking about like being played by animals, maybe from all different places in the world, all different kind of animals. But I think the one that I like is, maybe you can't read it here, is called Slumber. And it's actually the movements of my sleeping body create vibrations. And those vibrations will then turn into musical instruments, or musical notes, I should say, that I record. And I record them every night when I'm sleeping.
Wow. Christina, please do this. Awesome. Wow. What great ideas. Okay, so I wish I could stay longer, but I guess it's time to wrap up. But I will want to invite everyone to do one more score on their own. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen one last time. And this is the one that I would like you to do. Okay, create a score that changes the world. Okay, that's your homework. All right. So I hope some of these ideas inspire you to kind of look at the world in a little bit of a different perspective. So even when you're just walking through the park, you might see things as kind of like a really beautiful moment that can be recorded into a score. And sometimes sound can inspire you to create a drawing, or maybe a photo or a painting can inspire you to create a piece of music or a score. So yeah, that was super fun. Okay, I'm gonna give it.
It's super fun. I really enjoyed it. And then it's like kind of like, thank you for reminding us to open up different sensory, like, because often we rely so much on what we see and we forgot there's like things we can feel or sounds that we can listen to. So it's like really, really feeling grateful that Alanna sort of remind us to be, you know, be more present and pay more attention about our surroundings and feeling.
And I love the idea of really creating a visual symbol or a way to represent what we notice around you. So whether you notice in a sound or rhythm or pattern, and I loved how everyone had like different and unique ideas. We all hear things differently, and we all create symbols or make marks differently, even if we're listening to the same thing. I also love the selections that you played for us, Alanna. It was a really nice grounding and calming and soothing selection of works, I found anyways. So I want to say a huge thank you for joining us today. What a fun way to kind of end our Tuesday evening. So I would also like to say a big thank you, of course, to Alanna for bringing all of these ideas together and making us think in new and different ways, just like Lynn mentioned. A huge thank you to Lynn, of course, for joining us today, and all of our other colleagues at the Vancouver Art Gallery, for Johnny, for also making this entire session available in Mandarin so that more and more people can participate. And of course, we want to thank you to Canada Life, our sponsor for all Art at Home programs, to make these programs that come right into your home possible. But of course, the biggest thank you is to you, all of you who joined us today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas and what you noticed with us all today in conversation. We're also very excited to welcome you to the exhibition called Growing Freedom, the instructions of Yoko Ono and the art of John and Yoko. It's all about participating, coming together, activism, voice. So you're welcome to book a timed entry ticket anytime you'd like to join us. And I'd also like to share that in response to the Yoko Ono exhibition, the family programs at the Vancouver Art Gallery have partnered with a local organization called I Dream Library to create the Young Activist Reading Room. So again, thinking of these ideas of voice and activism and creating change that Yoko Ono sparked in so many minds. We're thinking about how we can read different stories, to think about new ways of understanding each other and the world around us. So thank you so much for that. And Lynn, I don't know if you have any other final comments before we say goodbye. It's always hard to say goodbye, isn't it?
And I forgot I'm on mute. Thank you so much, Alanna. And also thank you, Johnny, today for making the program very enjoyable and accessible. Thank you, Johnny. You must be tired. And like Christina say, the gallery is open. We have excellent exhibitions and it's a very safe environment for you to visit. So feel free to come and see the exhibitions. We also have a Kim Sugi demo coming up on next Fridays. So all those like amazing exhibitions and events can be found at our website at vanartgallery.bc.ca. And well, until we meet again, hopefully like everyone stay creative and then be safe and healthy. And thank you once again, Alanna, for your wonderful, wonderful workshop.
You're welcome. Thanks for making art with me, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.